Well, welcome everybody to MindShifters Radio. Today is Wednesday, March the 18th, 2026. Welcome to the show. Andrea, good to see you again. Susan, Melissa, Dusty. Anybody want to give an update or make a comment or ask a question before I get started?
Just that it's awesome to be listening to you read this and to just breathe through everything that moves in response to what you're sharing. It's powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. Dusty, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Thanks. I was having phone issues here, so I did not know if I was in. Thank you.
You are.
Michael, I have a question that you have answered umpteen times, but I would like it one more time, if you would, please. I've had Mormon missionaries come to my door. I speak Mormon. I grew up in that land, and so we have a pretty good time talking about spirit. But the first thing they handed me was this thing about, the meek will possess the earth. And I could not tell them the exact Aramaic definition of that expression. I wonder if you would explain that again, please.
Well, my offering would be if we look at the Aramaic idea of living as a human being is a form through which active present love expresses, and it doesn't bully, it doesn't fight. Its basic nature is that of love and compassion. When that becomes trapped in carbon-based memory and generations of abuse and fear and hatred and war and fight and drama and trauma, the game of the world, then one moves out of that position of being what one might call meek, one call fully realized as a human, and every other energy, the hostility and fear-based energies, are what ultimately kill us. And they're disintegrative. When you think of, take Einstein's idea, where he says, on such things as matter, we have been all wrong. What we've heretofore called matter is energy whose vibrations have been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. There is no matter. Yes. So we don't have a physical body, we have an energetic body, and anything based in hostility and fear is incoherent in that body and destroys it. So the only ones left ultimately are going to be those who are free of incoherent energy, that live as we're designed to live. And rather than living out of carbon-based memory, out of the AI system, where we set a goal and the information stored in the body's mind and the cellular structure from the past comes forward with its hostility and fear-based interpretations and tries to run our behavior. When one is freed of that, and of course the tool is that of forgiveness, then one is going to come forward in this state of conscious, active, present love, compassion. And, you listen to Yesh when he says, I come to bring you life. That's what he came to bring, was the presence of human life, not dogma and doctrine. That would be my take.
Yes. While that may not have satisfied their Aramaic mind, I'm not sure. I like it. What I did, and if you'll track this, if you have any feedback, that'd be great. If not, fine. I said, well, the meek? I says, what's meek? And I said, the upside of that is an aware heart. Something to that effect. And let it go. And that seemed to take care of it for them. That's kind of what they could handle.
Sounds right on track.
Yeah, the explanation you gave would leave their head spinning. I liked it. My head's already spinning, so it's all good.
Cool.
Well, that was probably the only real question I had on that. Other than I just and so glad that you're still doing this, and that Jeannie's still there and alive, and is probably the power behind the throne, as it were, and that people are getting good stuff, and so yay.
Well, if you haven't made it into any of them about the last 2 weeks or so, Jeannie has been reading her book, Healing Generations One Breath at a Time. So if you go back into the archives over the last week or two, you'll hear her going through the Healing Generations book, and so it's powerful.
I heard some of it. A lot of. In fact, I heard her talk about the process of getting it together. That was fascinating. And Jeannie, congratulations. I mean, just getting something together like that, honest to God, sweetie, is just wow. So
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, and I appreciate it. So
awesome.
Keep reading. Keep reading. You're more fun to listen to than this guy any day, you know. So okay.
Well, I'm going to hit my mute button then.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty much done anyway. So, okay. God bless everybody.
All right. Have a blessed one.
Anybody else before I start back? Okay. We are on wake up sheet number 5. Who did I think I was? Stupid and a failure. My inner voices of criticism convinced me I was stupid and a failure. My goal was to prove myself worthy through performance. By canceling that goal, I remember that my value is not measured by achievement, but by being. I, Jeannie, am love. Significant other who shaped this experience, my first husband, Cain, and his unkindness toward me when we lost the baby. My reality as I perceived it, I was alone when I began to miscarry my first child at 4 months. I called my parents to come and get me. I was in the hospital for 4 days and then went back to my parents' home. Cain finally called after 2 weeks to invite me to a party, showing no emotion about the baby. I decided to divorce him, and when he begged me to come back, I returned. He did not allow my body time to heal before forcing himself on me again. Nothing had changed, and I found myself at the bottom of the pit of desperation and despair. My feelings, fear and loss, deep grief. My thoughts, there was a huge void in my life after I lost the one little soul who had come to occupy all space and time and given my life meaning. I believed I had failed to protect my child. I also feared failing at marriage. My impulse, I want to punish by blaming myself. I choose truth and love and willingly move through the symptoms of healing. My goal, I want Cain to be thoughtful and considerate toward me and to care about our loss so that I can discover myself as love and live with meaning and purpose. I choose to connect to my original being, love, and fully invite in the love of God. I cancel my goal for Cain to be thoughtful and considerate toward me and to care about our loss. I cancel my goal to discover myself as love and to live with meaning and purpose. By engaging my breath, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I ask her to restore me to my original nature, love. I ask her to help me keep love present and to assist me in coming into direct, conscious relationship with and removing the dissociated, projected parts of myself. Present awareness. I now feel sad. I see that no one outside myself, whether considerate or inconsiderate, can make me feel lovable or give me purpose. How have I violated the goal I set for Cain, which was that he be thoughtful and considerate? I failed to be thoughtful and considerate toward myself, and there are times when I have failed to treat others with thoughtfulness and consideration as well. To my former husband, Cain, I acknowledge the truth of what occurred between us, and I hold space for each of us to fulfill our unique purposes. Even though my reality at this point is that you remain lost in a darkness so deep You cannot see beyond it to be kind. Closing affirmation. I am not a failure. I am a perfect child of God, created with purpose and meaning. Afterthoughts. From 1B, this calls for 2 wake-up sheets, one on the loss of my baby and one on Cain's lack of a feeling of loss. From 1C, what was I thinking? I will do wake-up sheets on cutting ties of attachment and on my loss of hope that Cain will be kind to me. From 1E, wake-up sheets on over-responsibility, which includes feeling that there was something I could have done to protect the baby. From 5A, wake-up sheets on my deep desire for my baby to have lived and on my habit of believing someone outside me could give my life purpose. From 6, because I was created with purpose, even if I had not discovered it yet, and because I am love and a perfect child of God, I am not a failure. Since I do not yet fully feel this, I want to do wake-up sheets on failure and the fact that I had been looking in all the wrong places. From 7, believing that Cain remains in darkness calls for a wake-up sheet on my own darkness. I will write a letter to my baby telling her that she gave me hope and
Breathing with you, sweetheart, and we're all extending love in your direction. Opening your hearts.
gave me the push to move in the right direction, which was to decide to separate myself from being abused. Little girl, your purpose was complete. You returned to God. If you had stayed, I would have been tied to your father forever. In a way, you freed me. Wake up sheet 6. Who did I think I was? A lost soul. In despair, I believed I was lost beyond redemption. My goal had been to find others to give me a sense of belonging. Forgiveness showed me I was never lost. I had simply forgotten who I was. Love has always held me. I, Jeanie, am love. The significant other who shaped this experience is my carbon-based memory self. CBM is a cumulative, inherited, multi-generational database that stores thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. My carbon-based memory self holds the unconscious perceptions I have chosen to clean up. This is not the self we truly are. My reality as I perceived it. About 3 weeks after I filed for divorce, I received a phone call from a local physician stating that my husband Cain needed to see his doctor because he had been with someone who had a sexually transmitted disease. I told Cain about the call. I remember telling him that I didn't care if his dick fell off. Excuse the bluntness, but those were my words. I added that if he had infected me, I would kill him. And I truly meant it. I am doing this wake-up sheet on my carbon-based memory and the thoughts of murder that I held within myself. My feelings, fear, rage, hatred, hopelessness. My thoughts, I had already gathered evidence to support my claim of abuse and desertion when the issue of Cain's possibly being infected occurred. Hatred and fear now welled up inside me to the point where I could have killed Cain. My impulse to condemn myself for having murderous thoughts toward Cain. I choose truth and love and willingly move through the symptoms of healing. My goal, I want to be healthy so that I can live and be free of Cain. 4, I choose to connect to my original being love and fully invite in the love of God. I cancel my goal to be healthy and cancel the goal to live and be free of Cain. By engaging my breath, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I ask her to restore me to my original nature love. I ask her to help me keep love present and to assist me in coming into direct conscious relationship with and removing the dissociated projected parts of myself. Present awareness. I now feel numb. I see that in the situation with Cain, I was never truly lost, just confused and scared. I am now willing to face and heal fear, rage, hatred, and hopelessness. I am willing to allow the generational impact of sexual abuse to be lifted and released. When did I violate my goal of being healthy and live free of Cain? My answer: by staying in the unhealthy situation for too long. To my carbon-based memory self, I acknowledge us for creating truth and perfect love, and I choose to be gentle with myself as I use these tools to remove fear and hatred. Closing affirmation: I was never lost. I am and always have been love, whole, pure, and guided by spirit. Afterthoughts. From 1C, I want to do wake-up sheets on Cain, STDs, infidelity. From 1D, each feeling of fear, rage, hatred, and hopelessness will be best handled by its own wake-up sheet. From 3, as to the goal set in number 3, I want to affirm that I have compassion instead of hate in my heart. From 5A, adding to number 3, I also cancel my goal to have compassion instead of hate in my heart. From 6, my true being is and always has been pure and untouched by external events. From 7, as I reflect on this situation 40 years later, I can finally say that it took all of those 40 years of healing work to reach the point where I can acknowledge that if I ran into Cain on the street, I would no longer harbor those initial raw, hateful feelings. This does not mean I pardon him for his abusive behavior. I have, however, allowed myself to consider what he might have gone through to end up where he was, and to ask myself, what was in me that resonated him into my life? I'll stop there and see if anybody has a comment before I go to Wake Up Sheet 7. Okay. Wake Up Sheet 7. Who did I think I was? Visionless. I thought I had no purpose, no vision, no reason to exist. My goal had been to escape despair by finding meaning. Canceling that goal opened me to the truth that purpose flows naturally from being. Truth was never gone, only obscured. I, Jeanie, am love. Significant other who shaped this experience. My carbon-based memory self holds the unconscious perceptions I have chosen to clean up. This is not the true self we truly are. My reality as I perceived it. After Cain and I divorced, I learned through 2 different sources that he had been having affairs with at least 2 different women for 2 of the 3 years that we were married. I'm doing this wake-up sheet on my carbon-based memory and the fact that I was blind to what was going on. My feelings, frustration with myself. My thoughts, I should have been able to see what was happening. My impulse to punish by blaming myself. I choose truth and love and willingly move through the symptoms of healing. My goal, I want to be wise and willing to see truth so that I can take responsibility, heal, and consciously bring every experience into my life. Consciously bring every experience into my life. I choose to connect to my original being love and fully invite in the love of God. I cancel my goal to be wise and willing to see truth. And I cancel my goal to take responsibility, heal, and consciously bring every experience into my life. By engaging my breath, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I ask her to restore me to my original nature love. I ask her to help me keep love present and to assist me in coming into direct conscious relationship with and removing the dissociated, projected parts of myself. Present awareness. I now feel more at peace. I see that I did have a dream for a better life and was already taking steps toward those changes. Time was on my side, as was God. When did I violate my goal of being wise and willing to see the truth? I was looking with my physical eyes out there instead of inside myself. To my carbon-based memory self, I acknowledge us for creating truth and perfect love. I choose to believe in my true self and trust Ruka. I know that once my eyes were opened, I became fully capable of moving forward. I only needed time to settle before pressing on and turning my dream of what could be into a real vision, taking responsibility and consciously creating a better, fulfilling life based in love. Closing affirmation, my eyes are open, and I create a vision of love, responsibility, and truth. Afterthoughts. From 1C, I had not been seeing truth or taking responsibility for my own life. I am willing to face and heal this blockage of truth. I want to do wake-up sheets around Cain's infidelity and the women with whom he was involved. From 1E, Helen Keller said the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. From 7, I take full responsibility for changing and healing my creations from within. Wake up sheet 8. Who did I think I was? Invisible. I felt unseen, as though my presence didn't matter. My goal had been to get recognition from others. Forgiveness dissolves this need and allows me to see myself as love's creation, already radiant and visible. I, Jeanie, am love. Significant other who shaped this experience, my carbon-based memory self, holds the unconscious perceptions I have chosen to clean up. This is not the self we truly are. My reality as I perceived it. I worked hard to prove I was worthy and quickly moved up through the ranks at my job. I'm doing this wake-up sheet on my carbon-based memory and the thoughts that drove me to do instead of to be. My feelings, numb. My thoughts, actually a realization. Working long hours kept me so tired I didn't have to think, remember, or feel. My impulse, I wanted to punish myself by working to the point of oblivion. I choose truth and love and willingly move through the symptoms of healing. My goal, to stop being a doer so that I can prove my worth. I choose to connect to my original being love and fully invite the love of God. I cancel my goal to stop being a doer. I cancel my goal to prove my worth. By engaging my breath, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I ask her to restore me to my original nature love. I ask her to help me keep love present and to assist me in coming into direct, conscious relationship with and removing the dissociated, projected parts of myself. Present awareness. I now feel better. I see that in my situation, I settled for approval for what I could do rather than resting in my own being, which is enough. When did I violate that goal? I did not value myself. To my carbon-based memory self, I acknowledge us for creating truth and perfect love, and I open the space to recognize that I am valuable as a mother, grandmother, lover, wife, employee, friend, and daughter. My worth is not dependent on what I accomplish, but the fact that God created me. God says, I see you. Closing affirmation. I am valuable simply for being me. God sees me, and I rest in that truth. Afterthoughts. From 1C, a wake-up sheet on canceling the need to prove myself, and a wake-up sheet on accepting my true self as I am. From 1E, nothing is chasing me anymore. I choose to take time to care for myself because I deserve it. From 1F, I now say, been there, done that. It's time to take care of myself. Another wake-up sheet on wanting to be seen as valuable for who I am. I cancel my goal to rest through external validation. I'll pause again, see if anybody has comments or questions. And Michael did point out to me yesterday, and I'll have to go back and do more wake-up sheets, that in a lot of my writing, I'm using regulatory speech, Michael, or non-regulatory speech.
Well,
anyway, I'm saying
maybe,
not, don't.
yeah. Well, maybe when you're finished reading, that could be a thing we go into. It ties in with laws of living, which is the intensive coming up, but just the subtle ways that we can learn to pay attention to our own words and see that. And there were just a couple of places yesterday where you spoke about the new expression of you and then completed it with the part that's still under the surface that still needs to be undone. And that's where regulatory speech comes in. So maybe we can create a lesson based on that. That'll just add a dimension to it for everybody.
Okay. Harry, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, Jeanie, if you ever figured out or did a worksheet, maybe that's coming up, on why you didn't value yourself. Where did that come from?
A previous one, and these wake-up sheets come from chapter 2, where I explain my story and how I came up with the distorted thought about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I felt, we actually watched a thing last night on TV, and it's how even currently there's a movement to get women back in their place, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And, just a thought of, that I deserved what was coming at me. What page am I on? I'm on 141. It's, but, couple of things. One, being raised that, you stay in a marriage, you don't divorce. It's like you're there, you made your bed, lie in it. Then also,
you deserve what you get, kind of thing.
Yeah. And which I'm so thankful that when I finally did get out, which my parents saw, I didn't tell anybody what was going on. Even at that point, I didn't share with my parents, but they saw that when I miscarried and he wasn't around and they had to come get me an hour away and take me to the doctor, take me to the hospital. And then I still hadn't heard from him. They brought me home with them. And then when he finally did call 2 weeks later, it was, do you want to come party? It was like no feeling for what I was going through or that we had lost the baby or anything. And they never, actually Mom supported me when I said I wanted to file for a divorce. It was like, there was no question. They were like, we're here, we'll help you find a lawyer. They were there supporting me, even though I thought that they would have come back with, you need to go back and be the good, obedient wife. And I don't cover this in the book, but in my second marriage, after 24 years, when I decided, I was going to divorce, and that's coming up in a wake-up sheet, I had invested all this time in a church, and, we both were there and did everything. I, sang in the choir, I taught children, I taught adult classes, I was the clerk, not paid, it was free, and all of this. And yet when I filed for divorce, they basically told me I needed to go back, and they shunned me, and it was like my fault. And, he stayed in the church and they embraced him, and I was like dirt, so it was still carried on that thought, you need to get back in your place. You don't need to assert yourself. You don't need to go back to college. You don't need to excel in your job, especially when your husband's is falling apart, and it was just everybody, it seemed like, was trying to push me back, except my parents. but, even the church. And it was like, you're wrong here. And I think that's been kind of a thread throughout my experiences up until I started doing this work. It's like, what part of me drew that? What do I need to learn here, that I am valuable and I do have a say and I can move forward.
It's part of the brainwash, and it's really, when you look at it, I just put a link in, and I sent that to you, Carrie. I don't know if you've watched it, but I put a link in where there's an actual movement afoot in the political world to literally force women back into slavery, back down to the farm, pregnant and barefoot, to remove all option or opportunity to step outside of the home, education, all. And if you look at it, its exact playbook has been done with racism. You can't educate them. If you get caught educating one of those slaves, you're in trouble. And it's exactly the same playbook. And let's hide the history. Don't tell the truth about what we've done to anybody. And this is the way it should be. I mean, it's bizarre, but it's a strong movement, and it's being pushed really hard in our political system. It's something that I think especially women really need to be aware of, the depth at which this movement is moving through this political system right now. And everybody on every side of the spectrum, both men and women, need to speak up and make sure that this really deeply organized push where the white male is supreme, the white weakling has to pretend to be a supremacist, and everybody else kowtows, and we hide all of the history of what's been done. It's a really important issue, I think.
And it sounded, when we watched it, it's like, yep, that's what I went through.
And this is officially moving. This is the newly announced plan from the Heritage Institute. Their next step in making America a white, male-dominated, racist apartheid state, and not only racist, but misogynistic, sexist. And it really needs to be looked at and addressed by everybody, I think. So grab that link and look at it, and it'd be interesting to hear what you all.
So it's that mentality that I was going through, and that, I was wrong in trying to break free of that. So, okay, wake up sheet. Oh, go ahead.
Well, it brings up another piece that might be appropriate to share. I don't think you talk about this in the book, but when we were in Florida, in Key West, we were speaking there, and a couple housed us or supported us in a place to stay when we were there. And when Jeanie came back and shared with her preacher what she'd learned, well, I'll leave it to you if it feels appropriate to share the story, Jeanie.
It was when we were in Key West, and Bill was housing us, and there was just something about him, I wasn't sure if he was gay. He wasn't like way out there. But then a few days later, we met his partner. And yes, he did say the Heritage Foundation, Terry. And so we met his partner, and he definitely was flamboyant. But anyway, we were with them for like 2 weeks. And one day we were doing still point breathing. And when we took an intermission, I asked Bill if I could talk to him. And we went and sat down, and I told him, I said, I was raised so fundamental, and that homosexuality was a no-no, and you should stay away from it. And it was awful and so forth. And I said, but I want you to know that and this was before I corrected my language. I said, I just want you to know I love you. I said, I may not agree with your lifestyle, but as a person, I said, you are awesome and I appreciate you. And we hugged. And when I came back, I was telling my pastor that I think I truly found what Jesus meant that we were to love everyone, even if we didn't agree with their lifestyle. I mean, look what he did with the prostitute and the taxpayers and everybody that he met. It didn't matter what their lifestyle was, but he just extended love. And my pastor looked at me and he says, I will pray for you that God brings you down. So it's like, I have not had the best experience with churches. And actually, that was the same pastor that felt like I needed to go back to my husband. So needless to say, after that, I never went to that church again. And the only time that I saw the pastor again was when my second husband died. He had requested that Scott be the officiator of his funeral. So anyway, apparently his prayers not heard because God hasn't brought me down. He's lifted me up. So, and Sally said in the chat that the part about the church shunning brought up anger in her. And TJ said there's orbs flying. Yeah, I saw them as I was talking. They're just zipping around. Okay. Wake up sheet 9. Who did I think I was? Hopeful.
One more quick thought.
Oh, sure.
If people don't have tools, shunning is the only reasonable thing to do. If people don't know how to clean their own minds of what another resonates in them, of course, you have to get rid of everybody, which as Mahatma Gandhi said, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. And when you've got tools, then judgment of others doesn't have to interfere with our relationships. We get to function as human beings, not love one another, but function as the presence of love in every circumstance that we enter, in which case nobody ever needs to be shunned. Held
Right.
accountable, perhaps, if they're on the criminal behavior side, but even the criminal deserves no punishment. This idea that we think if we punish somebody, it's going to make them better. No. Punishment is the cause of human insanity and disease and disorder and incoherence. Healing punishment, it's time for us to get rid of that. Yes, there can be places for accountability if somebody isn't safe in the community, but this whole punishment idea has to be eradicated.
So wake up sheet 9. Who did I think I was? Hopeful. Even hope can be a distortion when it's tied to desperation for a future outcome. My goal had been to survive today by clinging to the hope of finding a loving partner in the future. Canceling that goal restores me to presence, love here and now, not deferred. I, Jeanie, am love. Significant other who shaped this experience, my carbon-based memory self, which holds the unconscious perceptions I have chosen to clean up. This is not the self we truly are. My reality as I perceive it, I began dating, but each person I met was either already seeing another woman or was engaged. I asked myself, what am I doing in this position again? I'm doing this wake-up sheet on my carbon-based memory and the belief that I am not worthy of being someone's first choice. 1D, my feelings, confusion. My thought, maybe I'm not worthy of being someone's one and only. My impulse, to punish myself by withdrawing inward. I choose truth and love and willingly move through the symptoms of healing. My goal, I want to have a meaningful relationship so that I can have hope. I choose to connect to my original being love and fully invite in the love of God. I cancel my goal to have a meaningful relationship and cancel the goal to have hope. By engaging my breath, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I ask her to restore me to my original nature love. I ask her to help me keep love present and to assist me in coming into direct conscious relationship with and removing the dissociated projected parts of myself. Present awareness. I now feel hopeful. I see I was looking outside myself for proof of my worth? When did I violate that goal? I violated this goal all my life until I began working on my own issues and trusting God to help me believe in myself. To my carbon-based memory self, I acknowledge us for creating truth and perfect love. I open to Spirit Ruka to guide me in a new direction. I welcome the support of others who truly see me, believe in me, and assist me in growing into my full, amazing potential. Closing affirmation. I already carry hope within me. My worth shines through my connection to God and love. Afterthoughts. From 1C, I want to do wake-up sheets on the guys that I dated. From 1E, the truth, I absolutely am worthy of being someone's first choice, 1000%. From 3, the deep truth, I already am here. If I deepen my relationship within myself and with my source, God, I will find my self-worth, and in doing so, I will naturally draw in something different. The truth, I already have done these things. Wake up sheet 10. Who did I think I was? Afraid. Fear shaped much of my life. My goal had been to avoid loss and pain. Forgiveness reveals that fear is a sign of separation. Canceling my goal brings me back to truth. I am safe in love. I, Jeanie, am love. Significant other who shaped this experience. My carbon-based memory self holds the unconscious perceptions I have chosen to clean up. This is not the self we truly are. My reality as I perceived it, I was dating a man who began obsessively questioning and doubting me. He began showing up at my work and at my home, aggressive and belligerent, yelling in front of others and accusing me of things that were not true. He began to stalk me. He decorated his apartment to match my home. He began hiding outside my windows to spy on me. He even tampered with my brakes. I'm doing this wake-up sheet on my carbon-based memory and my belief that I was drawing in another abuser. My feeling, fear. My thoughts, this man was as unstable as my former husband Cain. He couldn't take no for an answer. My impulse, to punish the man by disappearing, which I did. I left my home and I moved away, which ultimately punished both him and me. I choose truth and love and willingly move through the symptoms of healing. My goal, to clean up the part of me that called this man into my space so that I can breathe, heal, and bring in healthier relationships. I choose to connect to my original being, love, and fully invite in the love of God. I cancel my goal to clean up the part of me that called this man into my space. And I cancel my goal to breathe, heal, and bring in healthier relationships. By engaging my breath, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I ask her to restore me to my original nature, love. I ask her to help me keep love present and to assist me in coming into direct, conscious relationship with and removing the dissociated, projected parts of myself. Present awareness. I now feel sad that I allowed myself to be abused again. When did I violate that goal? I see that I still carried the belief that I was not worthy of being cherished, thereby opening the way to being treated again as someone's property. To my carbon-based memory self, I acknowledge us for creating truth and perfect love. I hold space to forgive, release my disintegrative energies and false beliefs, and I ask Ruka to help me release my fear and practice trusting in my own worthiness in order to draw in a healthy, loving partner. Closing affirmation. I release fear and step into the safety of love. I am worthy of being cherished. Afterthoughts. From 1C, I want to do wake-up sheets around this man's abusive behavior. From 1D, I want to do wake-up sheets on anger toward myself. From 1E, I ask, why was I tolerating this treatment again? What is my part in this? What is it in me that draws this in? What is my strongest judgment of those tendencies in me? From 3, I want to do wake-up sheets on wanting this man or others to honor my wishes. From 6, this man's behavior was not excusable. He is still 100% accountable, but he was resonating with my unresolved dynamics. I want to ask myself and do wake-up sheets on, when have I treated others with disrespect? Did I ever want to or believe I needed to control others in order to feel safe? My answer is yes. I have treated others like property, though in my mind I believed I had to do it in order to survive. Yet controlling is the same from any direction. I'll pause there before I go to the next wake-up sheet and see if anybody has any comments or questions. Hi, Michael.
Yes, I have a comment.
Okay.
Started this with the idea of wanting to be someone's first choice, and I just want to assure you that you are not my first choice. You are my only choice.
Thank you. Okay, we have enough time to do one more. Wake up sheet 11. Who did I think I was? Complete in motherhood. I once thought my only worth was in being a mother. My goal had been to find identity through my child. Forgiveness allows me to honor motherhood while remembering I am complete in myself as love's being. I, Jeanie, am love. Significant other who shaped this experience, my son, Ryan. My reality as
Everybody's breathing with you, sweetie.
Thank you for giving me a minute to breathe.
Yeah, we'll breathe with you.
My reality as I perceived it. I remarried after 7 years of trying to conceive. We saw an infertility specialist and discovered the physical impacts from my first marriage. Infections and abuse had created scar tissue inside of me. I had cysts on my ovaries, a fibroid tumor in my uterus, and endometriosis had webbed my tubes to my intestines and clamped the tubes closed. Once I healed after repair surgery and after taking fertility medication, I conceived within a few months. I carried twins for 4.5 months, and then I lost one, baby girl. The other baby, a boy, was in a separate sac and appeared fine. I was on bed rest until my 8th month. This high-risk pregnancy included preeclampsia, placenta previa, high blood pressure, and gestational diabetes. My feelings bittersweet, one loss, one gain. My thoughts, I would be willing to go through all of this again if it had been my lot. I clearly remember the first time I felt my son move. And sat in awe of the miracle of that blessing. On February 24th, 1988, the day my absolutely perfect son delivered by C-section, my life changed. My impulse, I had only the wish to cherish my son. I choose truth and love and willingly move through the symptoms of healing. My goal, I want my son to arrive healthy and whole so that I can have a reason for being on this planet. I choose to connect to my original being love and fully invite in the love of God. I cancel my goal for my son to arrive healthy and whole. And I cancel my goal for motherhood to give me a reason for being on this planet. By engaging my breath, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I ask her to restore me to my original nature love. I ask her to help me keep love present and to assist me in coming into direct conscious relationship with and removing the dissociated projected parts of myself. Present awareness. I now feel wonderful. I see that although I continue to face the physical aftermath of the abuse that occurred in my first marriage, the outcome this time was beautiful. I am willing to face any remaining energy from that abuse and heal it. Did you have something to say, Michael? Oh, okay. I lost my place. I see that although I continue to face the physical aftermath of the abuse that occurred in my first marriage, the outcome this time was beautiful. I am willing to face any remaining energy from that abuse and heal it. When did I violate that goal? I was putting my happiness outside of me. To my son, I acknowledge us for creating truth and perfect love, and I hold the space for you to grow into an awesome, independent young man. I affirm I am the best mom I can be. And I release the emotional attachment. I guess I need to release it again. That had created an outsized dependence on you for my sense of meaning. I am here because God breathed the breath of life into me. I have a reason to be here. I am willing to clear out my issues so you don't have to face distorted thoughts like I did. I am blessed by you. Closing affirmation. I am blessed. I am purposeful. I am love, independent of any role or title. From 1F, I did resent my first husband, Cain, for the abuse that caused physical damage. So a separate wake-up sheet here. From 3, I understand that God gave me life and purpose, whether I became a mother or not. I did not need an external reason to be here. From 6, I want to do a wake-up sheet on the damage my first husband did to my body that caused such difficulties with my getting pregnant during my second marriage. So I will stop there. We don't have time to go into sheet 12. We'll do that tomorrow. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
I have a question that's sort of hard to ask. This is
Go for it.
Susan B.
Yes.
Jeanie, when you read about the hard things, it seems as if you're back there feeling it again. And as
I am.
yeah. And does that mean that you need to do more wake-up sheets? I doubt that. So there's another part of this that we can, it might be tears of joy partly, but I'm not trying to find out why you're crying exactly, but I'm thinking there is so much feeling there. And usually when we have feelings, Michael would say we need to do a wake-up sheet, but I really can't imagine you have to go through and do all those wake-up sheets again. So what is this phenomenon? Because I'm very different from you. It's very hard for me to cry at all, even when I really feel like it. And so I admire you so much for being able to do it. So it's a complicated question. Anyway, any thoughts?
When I was reading that one,
Read along with this, sweetie.
Sorry, Jeanie.
you're okay. You know, after losing 2 babies, and I kind of felt like this when, in December of 24, when we found out Ryan had a brain tumor.
Yeah.
Ryan is still, in a way, my biggest reason for being here.
Oh,
Um, I know when we were going through all that with, that was so traumatic. And
yeah.
thank everyone who stepped in and helped and supported. Susan, you supported us financially so much during that time. It was almost like part of me lost faith.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't know what to believe, but I knew if I lost him, I probably would have died too.
Yeah, I understand.
Um, so when I read the parts about almost losing him at birth,
Yeah.
that comes back up.
Hmm.
Yeah, there probably is some more worksheets to do around that.
I think mothers are in a different category. Yes, you can be an unhealthy, overly attached, codependent mother, but I think there is a kind of attachment that's absolutely pure and tight, just a strong hold on a child. And I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that's pathological. It's just part of the being human.
Yeah. I know when, after he came out of surgery, which was like a 17-hour surgery,
Mm,
Gabby was going to stay the first night. I stayed every night thereafter at the hospital because she was still breastfeeding, but she was going to stay the first night. And so Michael had the babies at the condo that we were staying at, the Airbnb, I mean. And I was going to run and get her breast pump and some things she needed to be able to stay overnight with him. And I was so scattered. I got down to the parking lot of the hospital and I could not remember where the car was.
oh, yeah.
And I was standing there just bawling. And the
Hmm.
police officer came up and asked me if I was okay. And I told him about Ryan, and I said, I don't know where my car is. And luckily, I had taken a picture of the post that was in front of the car that had a number on it.
Mm.
And the police officer said, get in the car, I'll take you to your car. And
Oh,
it was just,
a
I was
little
just
angel. Mm.
lost in the world.
Yeah, totally understandable. And the fact that Ryan's life and health were triggered, were put in danger for that time, and you'd been through so much. I can understand it. Yeah. Oh boy, Jeanie. Yeah.
So yeah, this going through the book is the next layer for me.
Oh man, I cried a lot and I don't cry, but I cried a lot while I was doing your book.
So I'd like to add a piece, Susan.
Yeah.
When you realize that what the ancients called the mind of man, carbon-based memory,
Hmm.
includes not just what's stored in our own physiology from our own experiences energetically, but literally includes every experience of every generation that's gone before us energetically. I mean, if we were to take the genetic structure of the human being, we could put every monster quantum computer on the planet and wire them together. We wouldn't have the functioning of one human system.
Mm.
Now, let's just look at one simple fact. It's not very long ago in history, in your genetics and mine, and everybody that's listening, that when a child was born, we waited until they were 3 or 4 or 5 before we even named them because they were probably going to die.
Wow.
Are you aware of that historically?
Yes, I am actually. I remember that, reading about
So,
that.
so, so when you say, well, Jeanie, you've done all this work, so you must be finished. No, no. No, there's a whole other, and this is why I think, and you've heard me repeat, when Yeshua gave them the instructions, they said, too hard a saying, who can hear it? And they walked with him. No, they laughed. No, we can't do that. Yes, we can do that. If we have a community of support and we have the tools, we can do that. But ultimately, that's what needs to be faced in order for the human genome to be free of those influences. So yeah, there are more worksheets to be done for all of us around every issue we've ever dealt with, because how many generations in your bloodline or mine lost children, lost spouses, experienced murderers, murdered? How much of that is in our genes? And if something comes along that resonates it, then literally our mind takes the data from 10 generations ago stored in our genes and integrates that into the pictures our minds produce. That's why the Power Person worksheet is so important, because it's those historical influences that literally lead to producing this whole thing called perception that has us trapped in believing that what's going on between our ears is actually happening in the world, when it's actually going on only between our ears as a product of what's happening inside of us. And everybody who's ever had somebody accuse them of something they never did, or tell them they said something that they never said, that's what's being experienced. And standing in front of us with all that accusation, refusing to deal with their own Power Person dynamic, says, and you are the cause of this happening in me. That's why I'm in pain. And that's the level of work that ultimately needs to be done. Anything less is stopping short of what needs to be done, would be my offering. And it is a hard saying. It is hard to hear. And it takes a great deal of willingness and commitment to say, okay, I'll go to that level. I'll take that level of responsibility. I'll breathe into the depth of my own genetics and look at, what happened to my great, 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 great grandfather and his spouse and his 5 children that were mowed over by Bonaparte's army. Now, I'll go to that. I'll deal with that. So my take is, when we say we're just human, we're lying to ourselves. That's not an excuse for poor behavior. It's because we're functioning as non-humans when we're in that kind of behavior. We're just human. We are this magnificent presence of love that has the capacity to reach into the depth of everything, clean it out, and then get on with what we humans are really capable of. And what's happening on Earth right now isn't even a shadow of what we're capable of. But we're only capable of it if we're willing to clean up what's in our genes. Who was it that said past is prologue?
Something that conversation triggered, and I just looked it up because I wasn't sure of the dates, but my grandmother and grandfather on my dad's parents. I remember her saying that she had, I don't remember, 6 or 7 miscarriages and thought she would never have a child. She ended up having 12.
Whoa.
My dad was the 5th one, and the sister that's just above him, she was only 3 when she passed away. And I was thinking of that when you were talking about babies dying. But my dad was 2 when she passed away. And so even my grandmother, there were so many losses of children or children unborn. So yeah. And I didn't think of that, but that resonated as Michael was talking about the genetics. And
yeah. And Ryan had the recollection, literally, of his sister passing when he was in the womb. In fact,
that was one of the earlier chapters. Yeah.
Yeah. Back just, I don't know, was it 2 years ago maybe? We were over visiting with Ryan and Gabby, and they were talking about how they divided tasks in the house. And Ryan did the dishes and Gabby did the laundry. And we were like, well, why is that? So, well, Ryan just can't stay awake to do the laundry. If he starts to do the laundry, he yawns and he wants to fall asleep. So we started delving in a little deeper. And one of the statements that came out was how Ryan, every time they're going to put clothes in the dryer or the washer, whichever it was, has to check and find out where the cat is. Like, duh, why do you check? And Ryan's response was, well, doesn't everybody do that? And Jeanie, maybe you want to fill in why we discovered that goes on.
Yeah.
For him, this is a behavior of a man who's in his 30s, and he still is checking the washing machine for the cat before laundry's done.
When he was in a daycare before he was old enough to go to kindergarten, the lady had several children that she kept in her house, and she had a cat that was like all of the kids' cat. And one day she was doing towels or laundry or diapers or something. Anyway, when she went to get the laundry out of the dryer, the cat had crawled into the dryer, and of course now it was dead. And it was so traumatic on all of the children. Now they're all like 3 or 4 years old. It's before they're old enough to go to kindergarten. And they were so traumatized by it. And so I was bringing that story up, and Ryan didn't even remember it. But unconsciously, he did remember it. And that's why, he couldn't stand to do laundry, or he, had to always find the cat before he started the dryer. And it was all unconscious for him, how that was running, just that particular part. And once we processed through that, he can now do laundry. So, yeah.
And those influences, again, they're unconscious. You go back to the scriptures and they talk about the unconscious, and there isn't as full an understanding as we have today, but you read, and the word that's used is the heart, and you'll hear them saying, the heart is filled with ravening and wickedness. Like there's something wrong with the unconscious. No, it's not that there's something wrong with it. It's that that's where everything's stored that we never wanted to deal with. All of our ravening and wickedness, all of the insanity, all of the terror, all of the trauma that's been hidden away, but still produces behavior prompts like check the dryer before you put the clothes in for the cat. Those behavior prompts are very precise and defensive from what is unresolved in the unconscious. And then add, the other piece as to why are there more worksheets to be done. If I'm, haven't been affected yet, and I'm eating a total, 100% wondrous, perfect dietary regimen, and breathing clean, awesome air, and showering and drinking perfect water. If I'm not 100% vitality, if I'm at a level 5 vitality, as you've heard us say before, and I have this trauma that's at a level 7 in me, I can do my level 5 work around it and go, yeah, now I'm feeling pretty good about that. But when I get to a level 6, bang, that issue is going to come up again at the next level. And when I get to a 7, it's going to come up at the next level until I fully and completely have the vitality to embrace whatever's hidden, every incoherent energy, to be able to embrace it fully and process through it and forgive it. Again, remove it. Not let other people off the hook because it's there, but remove it. So yeah, there are layers and levels of work to be done by all of us, would be my offering.
Okay.
And the indicator is there any form of hostility or fear going on? Then next piece of work. When my hostility or fear comes up, do I think about somebody else? Stop it. Have a conversation about yourself with yourself. Go into your own unconscious, and you get to clear it out. Have conversations about everybody else, and you never get to clear it out.
Yeah.
That's the whole bottom line, I think, that we all need to grasp with this work.
So join us again tomorrow, and we will continue. We're about 11 minutes past, but that's okay. And thank you all for your support.
Is that all fit for you, Susan?
She had to leave a few minutes ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a blessed one.